First ride of the new year took a little bit longer than planned to get out, but the weather was nice and dry, and it was the first group ride of the year, so it seemed like the perfect time to put the bike in the car and cycle down to meet everyone at Attenborough. We tend to do these routes usually every weekend, but when it's the winter it gets a bit spaced out. We tend to do a after work Wednesday ride too in the summer. So this felt really good to be back on the bike. I usually park a bit further away so I can get a bit more extra riding time in. It's a little bit too far if I ride all the way from home. Even though it was dry, I did decide to use the mountain bike today, just because I knew the route we were doing. We've done it before and it can get pretty muddy, so I wanted something that felt a little bit more stable, slipping around in the mud. But yeah, not my usual bike of choice. I felt very slow. I was the first one at the meet-up point, and I forgot to record when everyone else joined in, so I just sort of waited for a bit and then we set off. As I said, this route is one that we do quite a lot, and we head out along the river on sort of it's not really gravel, is it? It's kind of a muddy footpath essentially, but you can ride your bike there. It's part of the big track, which is a cycle route around Nottingham. But we follow this out and we head out towards the marina. I'm usually always at the back because I get a bit distracted by looking out at birds that might be on the water or cows that are in fields that are opposite. So yeah, I'm usually always at the back. Once we got past the mud and the puddles, we end up on this river path, which is really nice but can be really, really busy. But luckily today it seemed quite quiet. We were out quite early. We tend to meet about 9:30, so most people aren't up and about yet.
Awful. Morning.
I guess I should probably explain a bit about who I'm riding with. I don't know if this is specifically to me or to women in general or anyone, but I find cycling clubs a little bit intimidating. And when I moved here, I joined one, but all the rides that were advertised as group rides all had like a really high average speed, and it was out of my reach and I couldn't do it. So even though I joined, I never actually went on any rides and kind of gave up on the idea that cycle clubs were for me. And
okay?
I ended up
Thank you so much.
finding this club, well, we don't really say it's a club, a group, actually on an Instagram ad, and it's the only one, an Instagram ad that I've paid attention to. But it's very chilled, everyone's welcome, all bikes.
Morning.
Come along and we just have a nice time, really, which I know sounds a bit silly perhaps, but it's not about going fast or going far, it's just about going. And yeah, I feel really confident cycling with these guys because I don't worry that I'm at the back or that I'm not as fast as some of them. I'm just enjoying it, and I think as we get older we kind of lose that sense of enjoyment on a bike. Well, I think as we get older we tend to not really use a bike, so for me it felt really good to be able to do this.
Oh no.
Once we leave the river path, we join a really random but amazingly tarmacked cycle path. It kind of heads out towards Kegworth, and we loop back round to join this path, which goes alongside quite a busy road. But it takes us down to the power plant, and we join another cycle lane, which then goes along the river again. This power station was closed last year, I think it was, not too long ago, and it amazes me how fast nature starts to take over again. Like, you can see how overgrown this little path is, and there's like a car park, which I guess would have been used for staff, and it's all overgrown and mossy, and yeah, I find it fascinating how quickly nature takes back over, almost like it's meant to be there. We end up joining another path which sort of skirts the edge of the power station. It's like some big high fences and barbed wire and all of that. And then we have to climb up. It's not a steep climb, it's just kind of a gradual long climb onto the road. And we join the road for quite a bit actually before we loop back round. But it's quite nice. We go through some nice villages and things. And now we're going to head through to Clifton Woods. I didn't record the bit that was super muddy, mainly because I needed two hands and one hand firmly on a brake so that I could stop when I went skidding in the mud. This track basically runs parallel to the one we were just on, so it's a really nice, easy loop to connect to each other, which I find, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one, but I find routes really hard to connect to each other. And I don't know if that's just something in the UK where the cycling infrastructure just doesn't allow it, or if it's me not being able to find the right routes, but I find that a loop is much nicer than an out and back. I feel like even if it's not a long loop, I feel like I've done much more. Where that bridge was that Laurie just crossed over is where we're headed next. So we're gonna ride alongside another really busy road. This one actually, but I don't mind it so much just because I feel a bit safer with that barrier. I don't know what that barrier is going to do if some car collides into it, but I feel a bit safer. We decided to stop for a little break, get a coffee at a little sort of canal side. I think it was a museum, but it had a little coffee shop, so we stopped for a little break before we headed back to Attenborough. We went a slightly different way because it was getting late in the day, the sun was shining, and everybody was out. It was really busy. And I find that a lot of people in that nature reserve really don't like cyclists. Even though you're allowed to cycle there, they just really don't like you. So we took a long way around and headed back. But I forgot to get a video of us all arriving back at the car park because it's just so busy. So we cut to going back to my car where I parked. And just followed it through a little housing estate, which is really nice. It feels like a nice break from where you've just been because it's so quiet. That was me, and that was my ride, and it felt good to be out for the first ride of the year, and I'm excited to start planning the next ones. And I hope that you enjoyed this and you will come along for more.